We're not saying we don't want it. We're just not on the main core.
Hey,
Then I'm bringing out stuff that I don't even need.
yeah.
Look at all the people that's interested in these.
I am not even taking.
Oh, Lee, goodness. Look at this. Oh.
All right, good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing? Good, good. Welcome to Port Royal, September 4th, 2024, for tonight's public hearing and then also our council workshop. We've got a really special something planned for the council workshop. But first things first, we have our public hearing, call to order. So first purpose is ordinance 2024-15, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate construction of sidewalks within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 10, parcel 0074, better known as 1202 15th Street. So here's this. As you'll see, this is a proposal to build a sidewalk on there. Is there anyone that would like to speak about the sidewalk being built on 15th Street? All right. Hearing none, we'll close that section of the public hearing, and we will move to number B, 2024-16, an ordinance to remove personal storage facilities from their list of permitted uses in the T4 Neighborhood Center Open Zoning District. We do have some public comments for this one, so I'm just going to kind of read through them, go through them one by one, and we'll go there. So first up is Ms. Rebecca Bass. And just a reminder to everyone, we do have 3 minutes timing for comments, so please try to be courteous of that and everyone else's time. Orderly manner just helps us move forward. If you do plan on reading letters from someone else, please try to keep that within the 3 minutes. And if you can't, just make sure that staff has a copy of it. We'll put that in the record, and we'll make sure that council gets all of that as well, too. So, okay, Mrs. Bass, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening. My husband and I have owned property in Port Royal for over 20 years. We built our dream house here because we fell in love with the cool coastal ambiance and the natural beauty of our area. First off, I would like to thank the town council members and the mayor for your unanimous support of the text amendment to eliminate storage facilities as a permitted use in areas zoned T4 Neighborhood Center Open. As stated in your comprehensive plan, and I'm going to quote it, This is a small and delicate place, and its evolution needs to be carefully considered so that the balance and harmony that make it special is not lost to ubiquitous, quote, could-be anywhereness. With vacant land, there is the potential to add something great to Port Royal that complements the natural beauty and preserves the character of our built environment. There's nothing that says could be anywhere like storage units. Please reset the timer so I can read comments into the record from 3 other concerned Port Royal property owners. My name is Nicole Bentley, and I have been a resident of the town of Port Royal since 2019, specifically choosing to move to this side of town to be closer to the many places in Port Royal we already frequented. We have 2 small children, and we enjoy being involved in the community and investing our time and money here. We have felt the need to speak out in support of this zoning change, as we are passionate about keeping Port Royal a family-friendly, accessible location. I want to note that we are a military family and are fully supportive of our military population that needs access to storage solutions. Nevertheless, we want to see a community that continues to grow and expand in alignment with Port Royal's master plan, which includes, quote, improving the aesthetic of Rebo Road and Paris Island Gateway and prioritizing development that leads to a more inclusive and involved community. A direct quote from that master plan says, successful retail and businesses, life on the streets, a sense of community, these things on a common element, people, and more specifically, a consistent base of people who can conveniently and safely walk to their destination. This also means they have a great destination to walk to and that the journey to get there is enjoyable. Second person asked me to speak on their behalf is Bryson Turner, and he said although he's unable to attend the meeting in person this evening, he would like to have his voice read into the meeting record. As I have stated in 2 earlier meetings with the town, I am opposed to using T4 Neighborhood Center open land for storage units. Open space land is at a premium, and use of that land to bring people and communities together for the good of all is a much more desirable use of land than storage facilities which benefit only the owners of the land. Storage units do not advance the character of the stated Port Royal Comprehensive Plan as a cool, coastal, and far from ordinary destination. Thank you for the continued support which you have demonstrated at the 2 earlier meetings. And finally, I'm now Hilton Smith, and I own several properties in Port Royal. I live in Mount Pleasant, but I travel to Port Royal weekly for work and have been for 15 years for my company, Manor House Builders. When I heard about the request to change the ability to build storage facilities in the T4 Neighborhood Center open, I was so happy for the residents of the town and those that love doing business in the town. This zoning applies to several properties which would be underserved by this type of use. Just today, I drove past several lifeless storage units in the town where industrial garage door-ridden facilities with lots of metal and concrete are taking up very desirable and convenient space. They are next to homes and businesses that are very visible and are suffering from the proximity of these storage facilities. They take up so much space, yet employ very few residents. They would be best served being built in less visible and out-of-the-way locations. Nothing about storage facilities belongs in a designation calling for a neighborhood because they are some of the least neighborly uses I can think of. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Oh, bless you. Okay, up next, we've got
Thank you, Rebecca.
Missy Mervosh. Did I say that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I wanted to take this time to express the importance of this zoning issue as it relates to the residents and future of Port Royal. There is a time and a place for everything. However, this is neither the time nor the place for such a structure in a residential setting. It is my understanding that this particular zoning designation was put in place 10 years ago. We have all invested years of revenue into Port Royal and home ownership in these years, and therefore are asking you to hear our concerns and support our efforts. I wanted to take some time today to just back my thoughts up with what I wanted to express tonight. And I wanted to see exactly how easy and how accessible self-storage units are in Port Royal and in a surrounding 5-mile area. So with all my calls that I made today within a couple of hours and my internet searches, I found that there were 16 readily available complexes with vacancies. Online, there was a suggestion for 30 more that were not only in Port Royal, but within 10-mile radius. The units ranged from 5 by 10 units to 20 by 25 units. Also, there was boat storage, there was RV storage, and there was smaller units and larger units, going up to $465 a month. Many of these units, if you see passing in the Port Royal area, do have flyers or flags out in front of their establishments offering you up to 75% off for 2 months. Is this a reflection of the vacancies in these hereby established storage units? Financially, I don't know what to expect from this. I don't know what a storage unit will financially bring to the city of Port Royal. I have no idea. That is where I am lost. However, I do know that this speaks to the validity of yet another complex coming into the Port Royal area. I did another little research tidbit, and I found out that 9% of American households currently rent a self-storage unit. On average, these units employ 3.5 employees per facility. So it can't possibly be a revenue-seeking adventure. It cannot possibly be. In 2023, 245 planned storage units were canceled. We're talking nationwide. And deferred projects grew to 44.5% annually, and properties increased. Property abandonments, which means they left the units, increased by 104.2% compared to 2022. These are highly specialized and aren't easily converted to another use. I'm talking about the building itself, the facility. They cannot be repurposed. The amount of time that it takes to repurpose these buildings is unacceptable. You can't walk there, you can't buy something there, you can't meet a friend there, you can't have a coffee there, you can't hang out there. It's a dead facade. No windows, dark walls. For most purposes, it is a dead concrete box. They are staggeringly underwhelming. Wire fence, barbed wire fences, gravel, aggressively lit to combat any crime or potential theft. This is truly a suboptimal use of a highly valuable piece of property in Port Royal. I urge you to listen to our cries. I urge you to try and protect this land. I urge you. I'm going to end it with this, and somebody's going to recognize this. We all know how this story ends if we don't take it seriously. You can look up and down the east coast of South Carolina and see what's happening. The towns need to listen to developers, but residents have the right to have a say in how their community grows. Otherwise, there's a risk of the town quality of life and environment becoming tarnished, leaving Port Royal anywhere USA. Please don't let us become anywhere USA. Protect this great land and its residents and grow our communities the right way while being great stewards of this beautiful place we call home.
Thank you.
Okay?
Okay. Up next, and I'll just reiterate, please try and
Sorry.
keep it. No, it's all good. Like I said, and we got to move it along. So if you do, just try and keep it to that 3 minutes so we can just, keep it going. Up next, we've got David Strange.
Mayor, Council, good to
Yes,
see you
sir.
again. We've been through this a couple of times now, but as just in review, I was on the advisory committee for the rewrite of the 10-year comprehensive plan for our town, and therefore have a very personal vested interest in seeing that we try to adhere as best as possible to what we hoped was going to be the best for the future of the town of Port Royal. So I'm going to read a brief excerpt from page 13 of the plan, which I think is very instructive to what we're talking about tonight. The plan considers that growth is desired and inevitable, but must be accomplished in ways that support the town's vision of traditional town planning, environmental harmony, and access and fairness to its citizens. This harmony is to be accomplished by the application of tried and true urban planning principles and channeling development towards land that is the most suitable, underline that word, the most suitable for it based on economics, cultural, social, and environmental principles. As said in the master plan for Port Royal, grow more, but grow more of what Port Royal is. In this way, the town will become more complete and improve without losing its identity. In the 2 years that we spent struggling over the most important elements of what was going to be contained in the 10-year plan, I can guarantee you, we never thought that a neighborhood that was zoned with the word neighborhood in it was ever going to contain a personal storage unit. It's not something that we anticipated, and it's certainly not something that we thought was a good use, a suitable use for any of these areas. So I would say my contention is that anything that contains the word neighborhood ought to be oriented towards things like retail, service providers, restaurants, business, and residential. Many of these transects that are contained within this zoning are immediately adjacent to neighborhoods, and they are immediately on the major corridors that define our town. Rebo Road, Paris Island Gateway, and Savannah Highway. My contention is that this does not work in consistency with what our town has as its motto, and you've heard me, and I've been quoted saying that these are not cool. They are definitely not environmentally friendly, given the fact that creating them eliminates virtually all the foliage on the site, 95% impervious coverage. That is not coastal. And if we want to make sure that we're not ordinary, we want to avoid doing this any further.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, up next, we've got Miss Wendy Zara.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Wendy Zara. I live on 14th Street. I'm also chairman of the Planning Commission, and I think you already know that the Planning Commission did recommend that you approve this change to the ordinance. It's kind of like these things are a cancer and they just spread by themselves. So I hope you'll continue the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we've got Miss Judy Ailing.
Hello.
Hey.
I also am on the Planning Commission, and I was lucky enough to be on the Form-Based Code Committee 10 years ago when storage units were placed as a use in this zone. Within the code, uses allowed in a particular area are specified. These uses at the time of writing the code were determined by judging what were the best, how to best serve the community. As development occurs, needs change, the community changes. I want you to know the reason that I voted to make this change, and that was because we need, as a planning commission, to monitor the development of each community and to look at each zone because of change, and that was anticipated. So each time things look as though there's an imbalance, we're not serving the community properly, we're not looking at the needs of our citizens, we need to readjust. And that's what we feel needs to be done here.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Judy.
All right. Keep rolling along. Up next, we got Mr. Dean Moss.
Mr. Mayor, I have comments on a different subject, so
Okay.
I'll be waiting for that.
Put you in the other pile, Dean. Okay. Up next, we've got Miss Priscilla Stewart. Storage units.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
When I too looked at the Port Royal Comprehensive Plan, there was a section that's called Community Principle, and it says a town of water. Port Royal is surrounded by coastal waters and marshes and beaches and dunes and wildlife habitats. And trees, and open spaces. Most of us in this room have evidently found that slice of paradise in this quaint village. I may be a tad older than some of you here, and I'd like to reference a song by Joni Mitchell from the 70s. Probably nobody will know it but me, but that's okay. I'm not going to sing. The title is A Big Yellow Taxi, which has nothing to do with the lyrics. And the lyrics is what's important here, I think, in my view of what's happening. And the lyrics is, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. I don't find anything aesthetically appealing or coastal about a storage facility. It, in fact, is a big parking lot with row after row of corrugated buildings. Sometimes they're enclosed, sometimes they're not. They're surrounded by chain link fences or some mile-high fence to prevent thievery, I suppose, and a security to that. I don't see that serves, it's not coastal, it doesn't serve, I don't think, Port Royal's vision. I'll leave one other phrase with you that may be important, is you don't know what you've got until it's gone. Please don't pave my paradise with a parking lot.
That was the Rolling Stones, right?
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
We might have heard those in the 70s, some of us that were here.
All right. Up next, we've got a few more here for in our public hearing. Up next, Bruin? De Bruin? Okay.
Andre De Bruin.
Yes, sir. Andre De Bruin.
Thank you.
It's not the handwriting, it's my eyesight.
I just want to echo some of the previous speakers, and who much more eloquently than I can sort of bring a human element to this issue. We moved from California to Hilton Head Island in the early 2000s and built a big, beautiful home on Hilton Head Island, soon to be disillusioned with our dream, and we sold that home and wanted to come to a community which was small, quaint, authentic, and much more aligned with our expectations of how we want to spend the rest of our lives. And we found that in Beaufort, in Port Royal. We specifically bought a house in Port Royal and enjoyed and have enjoyed 12, 13 years of wonderful life here in this beautiful town. Just back here is my wife and her best friend from South Africa, who's actually returning to South Africa tomorrow. She, like us, was immensely impressed with what she encountered here in this low country paradise. Just like the previous speaker, beautiful, authentic downtown Port Royal, marshes, just a beautiful maritime sort of environment, which is actually echoed in the Port Royal Comprehensive Plan. In fact, the two sentences there says a quaint village which retains its strong maritime connection. And so from a human element and from a human point of view, what a shame if we spoil that perception that people have of this quaint, authentic community, of this authentic village by permitting huge monolithic structures to be installed in sort of the gates of paradise. We would much appreciate the town council to approve this amendment to the neighborhood zonings, and in so doing preserve our little piece of paradise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Bruin. Okay, a few more here. Up next, Mr. Warren Hunter.
Thank you. In addition to what they all said, just as by way of backdrop, I drove this today. We've got 5 storage units on Paris Island Gateway already between the bridge and Grover Hill Road. There's 2 on Savannah Highway, Shell Point to the bridge, and there's 3 on Rebo Road on the other side of the bridge. So with that background, any additional storage units seem to be in conflict. I'm not going to read you your plan, but and these references are taken from the 2009 plan. They're reiterated again in 2014, but the whole thing was in a different order. So on page 5, you reference a commitment to quality development. I think 10 of these is enough. Maybe we don't need more. On page 6, it talks about the importance of urban form. I don't think storage units in any way support urban form. On page 13, you talk about the 3 E's, one of which is environment. Dave Strange talked about that. Lots of impervious blacktop, ruining the environment. On page 39 of the 2009 plan, you talk about there's a picture, an artist's rendition there of the Shell Point potential. I didn't see any storage units in that picture. So I don't think that's good use here. And then on page 61, it talks about future land use. And that in part says that land use decisions were largely in isolation of the surrounding context. And Port Royal realizes the need to think more comprehensively about land use, and I think that's what you're doing right now. On page 72, it talked about future land use, and more storage units don't seem to be compatible with that map or any of the legends contained on that map. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, I've got Mr. Bennett McNeil. Yes, sir. And you got,
Thank you.
you gave me 2 of them? Did you want to talk about 2 different?
You got 2 different
You
things.
gave me, just want, they're all together? Okay, gotcha, just make sure, I wanted to make sure I got you.
Been a meeting in a
It's all good.
I agree with most of what's been said. I don't like storage units either. Let me back up. I own the land up front, and I would like to put, if you'll flip over to the second page, this is kind of our layout of our land, and you see 802 at the bottom of the page, Wrights Point Lane coming in, and then we've talked about, Rebecca's talked about the Hilton building some townhouses, or you could do retail or office or whatever, about 250 feet into the property, and then the first 250 feet probably retail or restaurants or something like that, office. So we've really got this little piece of property that's about an acre, maybe an acre and a quarter, and that's where I'm talking about, where I would have wanted to put some self-storage. So y'all could visually see it. So if you flip back over to the first page, what I'm advocating, I think the code needs to be amended to say that self-storage, personal storage, needs to be 100 feet off of the roads. I agree. I don't like riding by them. I totally agree. I think the interior doors and the interior, the row of doors, all this asphalt, all the metal buildings, we don't need to see it. I agree. Totally agree. I think it should be enclosed with some kind of masonry wall, heavily landscaped. Basically, I'm saying let's hide it. Because I think self-storage is something I hate. I hate for my family to buy more stuff than we need. And we've got a big house. And so you got all these people in these apartments that are small footprints. Houses are getting smaller. So storage is not going away. So are we going to ask these people that live in these apartments, when all these storage places fill up, are we going to drive them over to Merritt Patterson's place on Ladies Island? Are we going to, is that smart? So the other point I would make is this. When we don't allow these little small pocket self-storage that you can't see out where the people are, then all of these self-storage that are up on the roads that are 25 and 30, 40 years old. You just handed them a check. You're making them more sustainable. You're not going to see them they're not going to have to update to compete with the new stuff. They're not going to get torn down. The land's not going to get used for something else. So you're kind of enabling something that we don't like. So anyway, these are just some things to think about. And the other thing, I'll close with this, if I may. When you take this piece of property, and we can put service on it, we can put retail on it. Well, right now we can, until one day we go we can't. But so we can do Paris Island, have a little retail, a little service, when you take away this piece of the pie, it's putting more constraints on retail and on office. Well, retail and office is already is in a down slump. People are not using as much. They're ordering from Amazon. People are working at home. So all I'm trying to say is it's a hardship on us. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil.
You doing?
Okay, all right. That is all I've gotten for public comments from that. I did want to reiterate that for those of that not paying attention, haven't been to the last couple meetings. No, what we're talking about is removing storage units from the entire zoning. It's not just a particular property, it's not just a particular neighborhood, it's removing that zonage as a usage from that zoning, anywhere that zoning applies across the town of Port Royal. So just wanted to clarify that for everybody. We're not talking about a specific place, we're not talking about a specific neighborhood, we're talking about the entire municipality of Port Royal and removing storage units from that T4 neighborhood center open. So just wanted to clarify that. Now that ends our public hearing. Move over to some fun stuff. How does that sound? Stepping over to our council workshop. Again, thank you all for being here. Call to order. Up next, I'm sure you've been reading in the paper. It's a really big day. We got a gentleman in the back that has been a part of this town for over 40 years, has dedicated his life to service to this community. He was with Port Royal Police Department before there was a Port Royal Police Department. It was Port Royal Public Safety. Of course, I'm talking about Chief Alan Beach, who's retiring, and we just wanted to take tonight and honor him. And I think he's got some of his guys with him. You can see in the back we got all of Port Royal's finest here in the building. So we're just going to take a few minutes, talk about the chief, honor the chief, and enjoy some time with each other, if that's okay, all right? So I'll just kind of open that up to the chief and his guys in the back right there. Microphone's y'all's.
Going to invite you up.
Oh, thank you. I'll wait.
Thank you all for that, and he deserves every bit of that warm welcome. Yes, 37 years. We've talked about this day 100, 1,000 times, and we look forward to it.
Long time.
And look forward to you. First of all, I'd like to set up a couple of your guys, your staff, would like to say a few words. We'll start with Captain John Griffin.
Yeah, we want some stories. Yeah. He's retired now. He can't get in trouble.
I just
2 more
I'd like
days.
to thank
Gotcha.
you for the last 34 years.
Come on, I know you can't. Don't start crying, because if you do, I'm going to
You're
cry.
getting
And
very
I've
bad
already started. I can't do this tonight.
He's my field training officer. We were riding around 2 weeks into my training. We were riding around Port Royal, and he says, "Hey, did you ever get qualified at the pistol range?" I said, "Yeah, last week I did." And there was an awkward silence, and I said, "Are they ever going to give me some bullets?" And he's like, "What?" He says, "You've been working for the last week without bullets?" I said, "Well, yeah. I figured if they wanted me to have them, they'd give them to me." So he says, "Well, let's go back to the police department and get you some." Went back to the police department, got me some ammo. And he says, "While you're here, get you some bunker gear." And I said, "Bunker gear?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "You're a firefighter too." And I said, "Well, I didn't sign up to fight fires. I signed up to be fight crime." And he says, "Well, you're going to do both." He says, "I used to be a firefighter, so I'll teach you the ropes." And so that first 2 weeks of my career has taught me that if you need something, ask for it.
Come on. You can do it.
And never volunteer for something unless you know what's involved.
And next, I'd like to ask Captain Massey to come up. He has a few words.
Don't preach.
Good evening. 1994, that's when I started here as a volunteer with Port Royal Police Department. He was my FTO as well. And I remember the burgundy Crown Vic he was riding in.
Yeah.
He said, I was in the driver's seat, he's gonna let me drive. He said, pay attention to the road you go on, don't get lost. If you hear my call sign, wake me up. Chief, it has truly been a pleasure.
Same here.
I have followed you, I have trailed you, I have learned a lot from you, and I'm gonna truly miss you at the police department, because I'll see you at your house, or at the colonel's house, or at my house.
right.
We will still see each other. I just want to say it is a pleasure to call you boss, and it's definitely a pleasure to call you my friend. I will not ever forget you.
And finally, I've been working with Chief Beach for 25 years. I'm just a baby compared to those two, right? Half of that has been as his deputy chief. And through that time, he has basically spearheaded us becoming a professional police department. We have developed policies, we have obtained equipment, we have gone from 10 men to 30, all under his watch. And, you know, we've done it despite setbacks and everything, we just kept marching forward. And I gotta say, it's been a pleasure and the best part of my life working here. And from now on, just like Andre, you're gonna be missed around here, but you're not gonna be missed by me. I figure I'm just trading places with Terry. She gets you 5 days a week now, and I can see you on the weekends, all right? Thank you for everything. And now, also, the police department in town has purchased this nice plaque for you to hang on your
Very
wall
nice. I will do that.
and remember us by.
Thank you.
And with that, I would like to turn the rest of this situation over to the mayor, because he has a few things for you to say also. Oh,
You're ready in 1, 2, 3. Okay, got it.
this is yours to hold on to. You're going to need it in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Chief. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I just wanted to, first off, I say thank you, and I'll say a few words in a minute, but I just wanted to open up to this council. I know some of the people up here have known you a lot longer than I have. I've spent a lot more time with you than I have, and you mean a lot to a lot of people. So I just wanted to take a minute, open that up, and we start down here, and we'll just work our way and let council kind of speak to you, because like I said, I know some of them go way back with you, so.
Mary Beth, would you like to start?
Yes.
I don't know if I can. Chief, you know, it's been a long time. When I came on council and you and I worked together, and one day someone said, how do you approve a budget for them? And I said, well, you know what? That's a good question. I'm going to go ride with them. I'm going to find out what they do, because if I'm going to approve that budget, I need to know what you do. You remember I took that class, the reserve class, and I thought, y'all do a whole lot of stuff. And I appreciate what you do, and you know I wrote a lot. I learned a lot from you, I learned from some of your previous chiefs, but my friend right here that's leaving me after all these years in our police department, Chief, you will never, ever be missed, because we're all going to have you in our hearts. We know that Terry might have you, like Chief, Assistant Chief says. I'm lost for words, because I can't believe after all this, you and I've talked for years about retiring. It was like, no, can't do that. Can't do it yet. Not going to. And I really thought you wouldn't leave us, but I do understand where you're coming from, and I've been in your shoes. It's a hard decision, but thank you for dedicating your life and I know what you have and the citizens of this community that have appreciated you being the chief and what you've done in leading your troops to take over and to do what Port Royal needed. And thank you for all of your experience and knowledge that you have left behind with your men and women. Thank you.
Councilman Guerrero?
I feel I'm like the newest guy up here. and what I will say is, having had the experience to bring up a police department in a foreign country, understanding the struggles to make a professional organization is something that can never be thanked enough of a team, specifically of its leader, right? Being in a job where you have to kiss people goodbye in the morning is one of the most selfless things that a human will ever encounter. And doing that over and over and over again should be something that we all pray that there are men and women in this world that will continue to do that for us, to allow us that. And although we may not always agree with the methods or with the degrees and with the interactions, well, one thing that we don't, I believe this in my heart, in this town ever go to bed with is without saying a prayer for you guys. And that's the truth, right? And we appreciate what you've done. We appreciate what you've created. We understand that it's your turn. We're not always going to be okay with it. It's your turn. But one thing, like Mary Beth said, whether I've only known you for 8 years that I've lived in this community, or whether we've known you our whole lives as brothers and sisters here, you walk with us every single day. You've taught us how to walk in Port Royal without having to look over our shoulder, and we appreciate you for that. Thank you so much.
Well, I've been in Port Royal for 28 years, and I've not served on the police force, but my background is in criminal justice, and my degree in criminal justice, and I've served on the reserve force. And I have a lot of respect for law enforcement, and I have a lot of respect for the leadership of Chief Beach also. You know, I've known him since I've gotten here, and of course even in the Rotary sector, where I've served as Rotary president 2 consecutive terms in Jasper. And so he's not only a law enforcement leader, but he's a community leader as well. We've taken trips down memory lane tonight, and I remembered when I came here also, I also remember that burgundy Crown Victoria. And as I said, Chief, I commend you. I wish you the best in your future endeavor or your retirement. And I just thank you for the leadership that you have brought to this town and to this community and to this state. And again, congratulations.
Thank you. And let me add something to that burgundy Crown Vic. It was brand new.
Yes.
I would not drive it across the Battery Creek Bridge. I would drive all the way around. I didn't want to scratch it.
Yes.
So,
Thank
we'll
you.
I'm going to hop in here and just say again, as long as I've been here, you've been the chief of police. I do not know Port Royal without the police department being head by Chief Beach. And I can tell you it was always an honor and something that I was very proud of whenever I was on council, and been on council now for 5 years and being around. And we always heard, and when I hear from people, I had an interaction with your police department today. They were great. They went the extra mile. They helped me out. They pushed this car. They stayed when they could have left. They went above and beyond, and I hear that so much and so many times, and that just is a reflection of leadership. I mean, that's a reflection of the culture that you've created. And so just thank you for that. Thank you for protecting this town and you know, this day and age and the world that we live in. And it's, you know, sometimes things are all over the place, and it's good that we've got men and women like you that have dedicated their entire lives to a community, have dedicated an entire career and been a foundation and haven't moved and haven't changed and have been a steady hand here. And that's something that's important. You know, you're a really good man. We're going to miss you, and just thank you for everything you've done for the town and setting us up going forward, because Port Royal's not going to stop, and you've done a great job building a great foundation, and we're just going to keep moving the ball forward and getting, you know, bigger and better, and while staying cool, coastal, and far from ordinary, though. So, thank you, Chief. Absolutely. Well, I know this isn't goodbye. We're going to see you around, but just thank you so much. And I'll turn it over to Councilman Ashmore.
All right, thank you.
had to write my thoughts down because I didn't want to get sidetracked, and I know I will. To Chief Beach and to my friend Alan, all in the same. I admire and respect how hard you've worked and the dedication and loyalty that you've displayed over your 37-year career. It's just amazing to me. I've enjoyed working with you, and I've enjoyed getting to know you all the way back to our Leadership Beaufort days. And that's when we really hit it off, and I think we really became close then. Congratulations on your professional journey, and congratulations on your retirement. Oftentimes, when you think at the end of something, when you think you're at the end, you're actually at the beginning of something new. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for staying safe. We love you, and we'll miss you, Chief. God bless.
Can I do one thing? One thing, Chief. Terry, we need you to come up. That's right. Good side.
She doesn't have a bad side. Come on.
John, good side. Either side, I think, is fine with her. But what I wanted to say is, Terry, thank you for letting us have him all these years. And I think, Chief, it's now time for you to be the husband and go with Terry and be that family you needed to be. And you've led these people and all of us through times. But now it's our turn to give Terry her husband back. Thank you.
Thank y'all. So what we're going to do now, if we could, just so everybody knows kind of what we're going to do, if we could get all the men and women of Port Royal's Police Department to come up here. We're going to take some photos with the chief and the plaque. We're also going to take a second here. We're going to step back, take a little break from the agenda. We've got some cake over in the conference room. Everybody kind of step out, go get you a piece of cake, fellowship, chat. We'll come back here at 7:30 and jump right back into the rest of the session. So thank y'all. Get some cake.
cleared out.
All right, and we're back. Thank you so much, everyone, for indulging us on that break. That was something very special. Again, we're just celebrating Chief Alan Beach and his retirement from the police department. It's going to be big shoes to fill, but we're excited about the future. So keep moving forward. Up next, we have another presentation from Paris Avenue Street Improvement, Michael Klink and Josh Tiller. If you notice in something that we've been focused on, it's up here. It's that you'll see we talked about in our retreat, and it's really talking about and focusing some energy, some dollars on the revitalization of Paris Avenue, which is our main thoroughfare through the town. It is what we would consider our main street, and so we just want to look at that and make sure that it's providing what we want to see in this town, which is walkability, connectivity, safe streets where people with different modes of transportation can get around and enjoy Port Royal. So we're working towards that. We think we're getting there, and this is just a follow-up, another presentation about that. So thank you, gentlemen.
All right. So this project, as you can see on the screen, consists of about 450 feet on Paris Avenue, starting from approximately at the Cypress Wetlands Amphitheater that goes to the corner perk. The brick would be a raised brick in this area to help with traffic calming. And then there's also another sidewalk near the corner perk. This location was identified as a good area to go after a CDBG grant that the town of Port Royal was able to receive. And I think on one of the next slides, we'll go over the budget and so forth on for this project. And then this is a rendering, and I'll let Josh.
And just to kind of backtrack, I think it was, several weeks ago, we came through and presented the entire master plan from this location all the way out to Rebo. So this is really just a small section. I mean, this is a big elephant, so you got to, take it
one bite at
in bites, one bite at a time. So this, of any of the bites to take, this is probably the best one. It's going to have the best impact. Here we are. This is kind of the gateway into Port Royal. It's going to help showcase not only as you come into the downtown area, it'll also showcase the unique Cypress Wetlands Park. So that this raised kind of traffic shelf will help calm the traffic. We're going to narrow down the lanes here. Wherever we've got the angle parking, it's got a 12-foot lane, and then where there's parallel parking, it's two 10-foot lanes either direction. If you notice in the center of the raised traffic table, there's a little medallion there, and that might represent some kind of, I guess, a relief kind of feature that might represent the medallion here, or something that's related to the Cypress Wetlands and the natural environment of something cool and coastal for the town. There's also a series of bollards that help separate the pedestrian realm from the traffic realm, and we're going to include site furnishings, trash receptacles, benches, the street lights, and of course the landscape associated with it. In addition to narrowing the lanes, we're going to improve the parking situation. We'll have angle parking there to the right as you're coming in, and then on the left side we'll have parallel, including a handicap space, a parallel handicap space that's shown to the far right. So I'd be happy to answer any more questions if you have any.
Well, that was great.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And as you can see, and I'll just say this for the public's information and knowledge. I mean, you'll see here, we've got this design coming together, and as you can see, it's beautiful, and we think it's really going to help with revitalizing kind of that main street of Port Royal. It's also going to make it safer. It's going to make it more inviting for people, like I said, on bicycles, people walking. There's more crosswalks. This major raised, what do you call it? What do you call it?
Speed table?
Raised, but that's a big one. I mean, that's an extended one. I mean, that's great, right there by the wetlands. You really can see it all coming together. I mean, now the thing for the town to think about is going to be funding. The funding source is always going to be important with situations like this. So I would say, we do have something that I think all citizens of Beaufort County should be looking at. We do have a penny tax referendum on the ballot this November. If you look into that, there is $10 million slated for Port Royal as a part of that referendum. So, and that's for infrastructure, which is definitely what we're talking about here. So I'll open it up to council, but just wanted to say that this looks great. I mean, absolutely. So we're really excited about that. And again, like you said, that is that entrance to Port Royal right there. That'll be the first thing people kind of see when they make that turn and they see this nice new street. They look over and see the birds, the wetlands, and I mean, it's great. So I'm open it up to council. Has any comments or questions for?
It looks wonderful. I'm excited.
Me too, I'm
I'm
excited.
ready to see dirt turn.
And I'm pretty sure it's in there, but it's right past this. It's in the other plan, but I was asked by a resident that lives at Helena Place that they just make sure that they get a crosswalk to the post office.
Yes, they're.
And I went back and looked at the map, and it's in there in the master plan, but I told her I would reiterate it. She asked for a crosswalk for the residents of Helena. Yep, it's right there. So thank y'all very much. So people already making them happy. So, okay.
I think it's going to be an asset in Port Royal. I think it's the opening, like you said, it's the gateway to the old village and, downtown Port Royal. And hopefully it will facilitate some new businesses coming to Port Royal and help with that. I think it's just a beautiful project. I can't wait to get started.
Well, I'm excited. The thing that I love that y'all done is it really just goes with Port Royal. I mean, I don't know if you know off the top of your head the number. How many trees are you putting in? I mean, I remember it was the number last time. It was. I know, I put you on the spot. Sorry. A lot of trees. I think it was up there like around 100 or something. It might have been 90 something. But a lot of greenery, a lot of, like I said, trees, bushes, safety measures. So y'all listen to the public, and you've heard those concerns and implemented that, and that's clear, and that's really all we can ask for. Is do these things in a transparent way, take input from the public, and actually internalize it and use it, and have them feel like they're a part of the process and not just a part of the smoke and mirror show. And y'all have done this the right way. So thank y'all very much.
Everything's good. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay. Just keep it going.
Sets the tone.
I know.
Makes you want to slow down looking at that. Just enjoy it.
That 21-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Up next, we got interviews. Sands Beach Park Task Force. We've got a handful of people to be interviewed here tonight. I did want to clarify there was some confusion. I know we probably could have named it better. Sands Beach Park Task Force. This is actually talking about the land on the side of Sands Beach Road. So maybe we should have put Sands Beach Road Park. But when you turn onto Sands Beach to go down to the Sands, that area on the left is now an area that the town has required. If you look, it's a pretty extensive green space, and we're looking at ways to turn that into some sort of kind of passive park, tie that into Sands Beach, so to whereas when you can get on Sands Beach Road, walk down to Sands and enjoy the whole thing, and just try to make it safer and just add more, kind of those outdoor amenities that we love here in Port Royal. So that's what it is. There was some confusion online about, is this about the actual sands? It's not about the sands. It's about Sands Beach Road and the greenery and the park that will be beside that road. So just to kind of clarify that. Up next, first interview I've got is Mr. Dean Moss. Yes, sir.
Mayor, council.
And I will do these when you come up, if you just briefly, most of these people on this we all know very well, so just kind of briefly about yourself, and then we'll open it up some questions from council.
I'm Dean Moss. I live at 1012 14th Street in Port Royal. I'm the executive director of the Friends of the Spanish Moss Trail. And the reason that I'm interested in this particular task force is because I want to make sure that we figure out the right way to put the Spanish Moss Trail through that property and so people can get out to the beach. I have been involved here in Port Royal on one level or another for many, many years. I've lived here now coming up about 12 years, but ran Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority before that, and essentially bought the utility in the town of Port Royal many years ago. But I'm interested in doing this and looking forward to helping on this matter any way I can.
questions for Mr. Dean Moss?
Well, I'm just glad to hear you say, because when I was thinking, when I saw your name come up, I thought, God, it'd be nice to have him on there because he can help tie the Spanish Moss Trail into that, which is where we want to go. So
We gotta get it there, we gotta get it there.
Well, we're getting it, Dean. We got to keep positive about it.
No, I
But
like
thank
the
you for
fact
offering.
That kind of ties in with
Yeah.
the Spanish Moss Trail. I think that's a good attribute. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you for everything you do.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. Up next, I've got Mr. Charlie Russo.
Charlie.
How many on the complaint?
Is it six?
Six.
Good evening, Council. Mayor. Charlie Russo, 1231 Ladies Island Drive. 30 years in the construction industry in New York. Top of the World Trade Center and LaGuardia Airport. One of my proudest projects was Brooklyn Bridge Park. Brooklyn Bridge Park, while on vacation at LaGuardia, I came down, visited Port Royal, and was reminiscing of what Brooklyn Bridge Park was prior to what it has become. And if you all ever get up to Brooklyn, please go visit it, and you'll see what we're going to be. It was a New York, New Jersey Port Authority property, abandoned for 60 years, just really dreary, and turned into a beautiful park, 1.5 miles long. A lot of all mixed-use facility, a lot of passive aspects to it, and I'd love to see some of those same features appear out here in Port Royal. And just, keep it green, keep it beautiful.
Well, I like to hear the experience that you've done some work like this in the past. I think that's really good. Why do you want to do this?
Again, this is what drew me to Port Royal. It was standing down on Sands Beach, visiting, watching the dolphins. The young Marines over across the way opened up. It was the soundtrack to the Dolphins. Fell in love. Later that afternoon, I was talking to a real estate agent, so I just kind of want to,
Good, very good. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you for your willingness.
Thanks, Charlie. Right. Up next, we got Miss Barbara Berry.
Ms. Barbara.
Mayor, council, I'm so excited about this.
You wore your shirt.
I did. I've got the answer to the name. It needs to be called the Sands Park, and then the confusion goes out. I walk every day and look at it and dream. And so before the trail comes, before Sands Beach gets cleaned up, we can have Sands Park done and ready for the people, the community. And I see it as a community project. I see the trees being fostered, or that you sponsor a tree, that we have Saturdays where everyone comes out and we clean up, because the canopy of those trees need a lot of help right now. There's some gorgeous trees on that property, but they're covered in moss and undergrowth. So under the guidance of an expert there, we could have the community come out, and I know they would. They would come out, help clean up. We make it a community park. We put picnic tables, we put some swings from the trees, if possible, and then benches. That's it. The beauty of the park, the landscape, that's all you need. The hardest part will be deciding where are people going to park. That to me is where I look at it in the biggest area. I would love for that to be a screening room where we could come and have a picnic and see a movie. It could be that. I think that's what Governor Sanford wanted us to have, a place like that. So I see that benches, people would put their names on it for a price. This can be done with little money. Picnic tables sponsored by people. I'll put my name on several of those just to get my name on something. So it all can be done. T-shirts could be sold. And lastly, what could be done is just like you have Friends of the Cypress, Friends of everything, Friends of the Museum, Friends of the Trail, we have Friends of the Park, the Sands Park. So everybody knows what we're talking about. And I would just love to serve the council and be able to do this. I'm just so excited. I confronted Daryl a year ago, early in the morning. Daryl, I want to be on that committee. So I hope y'all select me. But y'all have any
Right
questions?
now, I like your enthusiasm.
I was thinking the same.
Happy to hear your vision. You put a lot of thought into this. I certainly appreciate it. And I like your T-shirt too. That's pretty
Thank
cool.
you.
I will say, I see you.
T-shirts,
I see
that's
you.
the thing.
You and your husband walking it every day.
Every
You
day.
walk
I
it
see
every
y'all
day.
She
all
had
the
that
time.
same enthusiasm a year ago.
Yeah, there you go. So I would love to serve.
Thank you for your willingness to
Thank you, Ms. Berry.
Thank you, Barbara.
All right, up next, I've got Ms. Harriet Witt.
I'm Harriet Witt, and I have moved back to Port Royal permanently a year ago. And I've had ties to Port Royal since 1995. And don't have a lot of experience with building or anything like that, but I love Port Royal, and I'd love to be a part of helping with the park. So I hope I can help out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your willingness.
Okay, up next, Ms. Janet Sheehan.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Janet Shelley. I live at 801 10th Street here in Port Royal. And at first, I would like to commend you guys on your vision and your foresight to even swap the land and acquire this beautiful piece of property for town use. So kudos to you guys for the vision that you have. My husband and I have been property owners in Beaufort since 1998 and here in Port Royal since 2018. We built a home on a lot in Port Royal that had all kinds of challenges. A sewer that was over capacity, live oaks on the marsh front. So I know there are tons of ordinances and rules that we're going to have to follow to do anything in this strip of property along our living coastline. But I do believe we could have something extremely beautiful there. By licensure, I'm a physical therapist, so I'm not in construction. Probably can't help you with your back pain either, because the last couple decades I've helped businesses navigate, again, complex regulations and rules. I do serve as vice chairman of the Greenville Health Authority, and the question was asked on our application if we had any other board appointments. That is a governmental board, but not in conflict and would certainly not create conflict of interest here. My husband and I have gradually gotten, since we moved here full time, gotten more involved in our community. We attend Grace Community Church. I transferred my certification as a guardian ad litem from Greenville to Beaufort. So I now advocate for a 5-week-old little boy who was in foster care when his mother was arrested. So it's our time to continue to give back, and I can't think of any better way than right here in this community. So I see this task force as a chance to further my involvement in this community. I'm so excited from some of the ideas that we've already heard, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions from council?
Just reviewing your resume.
No, thank you.
Bonnie, you want to join? What makes you the best candidate for this position?
Interest and time. I think it's a beautiful space. It needs to be treated delicately. There's so much opportunity to share our sunrises, our moonrises, our high tides, a viewing platform. You know, there's all kinds of things that can be done. Historical reenactment, storytelling needs to be in large open community space there. So I would just love to banter those ideas and more with another like-minded group.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
applying.
Thank you for
Yes.
offering. That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Up next, last that's here, we've got Mr. Robert Landrum.
Back.
Get some hair.
Hey, Chip.
They golf cart all the time.
Good evening.
Come on,
How
Chip.
you doing, sir?
Yeah, I saw the notice and I was pleased to put my hat in. I was pleased also, very pleased, when I learned that the town had acquired the development rights to that piece of property. I never wanted to see what Grey Ghost had planned for that, 64 homes they had. And it is, I think, one of the small treasures that makes Port Royal unique and Port Royal wonderful. I have been an enthusiastic consumer of Port Royal open spaces for 24 years now, and sat as a member of the council. I sat on the Parks and Recreation Committee or Commission with Greg, and worked with adjusting some of the policies having to do with the Live Oaks Park, and also I've seen the Sands Beach property go through a few transition. It was overgrown, and we drove by it many times, or walked by it, or went through it, and didn't exactly know what we had. And Grey Ghost, to their credit, they thinned the vegetation, and within a month, that place was precious to this town. So we should, we don't have to spend, and I think that's why the council wants to a commission on a passive park. A passive park, much cheaper to maintain than an active park, and we have seen what that piece of property can be as a passive park. I think one of our priorities also, when we're talking about the attributes and the assets of the community, is pushing that bike trail, pushing the Spanish Moss Trail through to its terminus. We can see progress now at Rebo, and it's pretty exciting to get it there to the end. So, in service to the town and in service to the features of the town that I enjoy so much, I threw my hat in the ring. I don't have the construction experience. I'm not up to speed with the council's latest vision on the passive park, but I think I know what it is pretty well. And that'll be my campaign.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Good to see you, bud.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, bud.
Okay, that is it for applications that I have for a few that are here in person. We do have one more that's submitted, but they are unfortunately not here. We will discuss this in a personnel matter, and we will, at the next council meeting, right, announce, so that's next Wednesday, we'll announce the members of the Sands Beach Park, Sands Beach Road Park, guys. We'll work on the name. Okay. Yes. And again, a few of the people we saw here tonight have applied before, and just thank y'all. That's so great. You know, these boards and commissions are very helpful to council, not just in this municipality, but for all municipalities. And I get emails all the time about vacancies on this, vacancies on that. So it's great when people show up in Port Royal. These are volunteer positions. These are people that are just taking out their own time and giving back to the community. So we appreciate that. For anyone that's willing to do that, thank you very much. All right, up next, council briefing. As you can see, we've got, Van is out of town, but we have the deputy town manager.
I am going to keep things, we had a long night, so I'm
Yes.
going to keep things brief. I have 3 exciting topics that I'm over the moon about, that I get to be a part of and see the movement going forward for this. Since we were just talking about Sands Beach, I want to give you an update on what we've been doing with the Sands Beach entranceway. On the screens, you will see where we have a delineation of the critical line. This was derived from when we went out and met with OCRM as well as our contracted Newkirk Environmental. The town's contracted them to help us with what we can do out there in that entry area. It's been a constant problem for us, as well as the little bumps that we're starting to see, and it's just not easy for us to get the permit required to do that work that's necessary. So with Four Waters assistance, we are working with OCRM, and what is our envision is a natural causeway. You can say a bridge, but we're going to use natural causeway. It will be a 1-lane driven for vehicles as well as pedestrian walkway. It will be constructed of timber and stainless steel. And so if you can think of when you go out to the golf course and you have those areas where you're driving across the waterways of those nice, that's what, envision that.
Okay.
And I think that will add a great addition. There will also be a bulkhead that goes along, let me get the cursor going, along the sides over here. Not only is it going to help protect the nature, but also it will give us the opportunity to do regular maintenance as well. So really exciting. We're looking to get a, Four Waters is working on a contract, and a rough estimated cost is $1.5 million for this, of where we do have the ARPA expenditure that we could use for this project. I could see this going fairly quickly for us. This is not going to be years down the road. We can get this done.
Great.
So, very exciting time.
Yeah.
I got a quick question. Yeah. And I want to know the answer. I already know the answer, but I just want to make sure the public understands. Can we put a pipe in the ground out there?
You go ahead, yeah.
So, this area is somewhat of kind of a gray area. And OCRM is delineated in a way that they're trying to be cautious on allowing it as a causeway. They stated that no culverts would be approved. However, if you were to submit it and go after that, potentially after a lot of requests for informations, eventually at some point you could maybe do it. But that would definitely take a lot of time to kind of fight that, to get that to happen. The bridge that Brooke is talking about would really just be across this area where you can see that the marsh is starting to take over.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's really where the bridge would be.
So to the left side,
Yes,
where
so it'd
people are
be-
getting stuck.
To that
darker
where the
area.
entrance is, and then would go over, and that's naturally going to just
Right.
do this, almost, or it does it now. And then off of that, you'd have a bulkhead that would define the causeway, which would give the town the right to maintain it. So right now, it's, you're gonna want to define it in some way, so you can have the right to do that.
So you said that potentially we could have approval of a one-lane wood structure going into there. And that right side, that left side is already raised or elevated, so that side will still be operable for vehicle, right?
We would not use that for
So it would
vehicles
only be that
anymore.
one
Correct.
passage only, okay.
So it'd be it'd
So
probably
they
be
would
about.
have to yield and, okay, come, go, come, go.
Correct.
Which again, it's not that, okay.
I'm sure time to time now, when the tide comes in and starts getting wet, vehicles are already probably doing
Yes.
that.
Okay. Yeah. True, very true. You're right. No, you look like you wanted to say something.
Just for a little bit more clarification, the purpose or the idea of this is that the bridge is the only way to go across the area where the marsh breaches, so that there's a one lane for vehicles and golf carts, and there is a nice wide pedestrian section that's separated on that bridge as well.
So will it be- will you-
there
are you
won't
gonna cut
be
off
there will be some kind of natural cutoff
Barrier or something?
on either side of the bridge, so you can't still just walk straight through there in the wet area or drive a golf cart through there if you don't want to wait for the bridge.
And we'll be back soon with those designs, so that way you'll see what this would look like, or could look like.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you all so much, and thanks for getting on that so quick. I mean, we know this summer was kind of challenging with that area of the Sands Beach. It was getting flooded. I mean, there was points where it was just flooded all day, every day, and I'd go out there and see families like waist deep with coolers above their head and dragging children through it. I was like, this isn't good. But Sands is such an important amenity to the town of Port Royal. When you think about the town of Port Royal, I mean, it's one thing you think about. You go down, you go to the Sands and the boardwalk and the tower, and it's open to the public. It's free. Anybody can come use it. We love that about Port Royal. It's very open. And so thank you all for getting on that, because we don't want to lose that asset. And, you know, Mother Nature's doing her thing, and we got to work around her. So thank y'all for getting on that. I've got no doubt that y'all guys are going to come up with a beautiful design, and it'll be something will be good. And I love that now you said you're building a bulkhead.
Yes.
Okay, and then that will open it up to, we have just the ability to go do regular maintenance, and that'll be such a luxury, because that was something, just to reiterate for the town, that was, when we'd hear people, it's so bumpy down there and all that. You see that line now, anything below that line, you couldn't just go touch it. You had to go get approval and a permit from OCRM, which would take months and months. Anytime you wanted to do anything, if it was below that line, we had to go through them. But now the changes that we're making, we will be able to just go do regular maintenance and fix those problems and just upkeep the sands, to a safe, as a safe amenity for the public. So, exciting stuff. Thank y'all.
No problem.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, another hot topic that we've been having is 12th Street. We're almost completely, we have a couple landscaping items that we're doing over by the elementary school on the other side, but this is bringing it to the west side over where we've been hearing quite a few comments about the parking situations, as well as we have not finished the sidewalk over there. So Four Waters has put together these plans. Joco has submitted a proposal for us, and upon approval, we'll be ready to work next week.
And this sidewalk, it's connecting, it's all the way down 12th Street? I mean, I know those.
So we have the one property that is viewed here, but it will also complete that sidewalk on that same side.
Okay.
To match up.
Those four houses, those four, those houses that are in that one development, like they have a sidewalk, so I guess we'll just connect down to that.
Correct.
So, perfect. Great. And then if anyone parks on the sidewalk, that's illegal, right? That's right.
Correct, yes. And then we also have 12 formalized parking spots among here. So,
and that's just to give it that uniformity, which is great, because right now, if you go on 12th Street, it can be a mess, and people are just parking. So if you can fit a car there, they're pulling and parking cars there, on people's yards and all that. So this will be great. It'll kind of create those lines, and people a little more structure. They'll know what to do and where to go. So.
Yeah, it's 12 spots. I wish Stephen and Mike Jones were here.
the one night.
I know.
Yeah, because I know that recently came up, and he was frustrated, as he should be. And I went down there that night and kind of checked it out. I've been by there a couple of times just to get a view of it, and I think that's 12 spots right there. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Maybe he'll be here next week. Maybe we'll do it again. But yeah, you're right. I'd love for them to see it.
Awesome.
Send an invitation.
And then my final item that very briefly, because I don't have a lot of details, tomorrow Ms. Kayla and I will be meeting over at Casablanca Park. We have a playground design team coming, and we're looking at a design for the playground over at Casablanca.
Yay. Yeah.
So I'll be excited to show you those designs of what we're envisioning over there.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I wish Sammy Smalls was here.
Yeah, where are the people that wanted this?
I told you, we had a lot of fun topics.
I know. We'll reiterate it next week too. So, thank you. Those are very exciting things. I mean, we just heard right here in this brief time, we just talked about improvements to Paris Avenue, Sands Beach, Casablanca, 12th Street, more sidewalks, more. So thank you. It's all good stuff. Is there any questions or comments for staff at this time?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, rolling along, we'll move right to the review agenda for September 11th.
All right, we have approval of minutes. It included on there, you'll see at the first item, we've never had a chance to approve the council retreat minutes, so that is correct. So we just need a vote on that, as well as last month's meeting. Presentations, we have Riverview School Director Devontae Singleton, who wants to meet council and just chat and tell him a little bit about himself and what he envisions for the school. Miss Barbara Berry, we're going to be discussing tomorrow. There is a meeting with the Short-Term Rental Task Force. We'll see if they're prepared to give an update for next month, or if they need a little bit extra time, but they're moving along fantastic, and I know they're going to be having information for you guys very shortly. Ladies of the Low Country, Sally Germer, she's going to be here talking about an event that they'll be having October, I believe it's October? November, yes, it was November, on a Sunday, the first Sunday of November, and it's going to be from 9th Street down to the Town Hall, and they want permission to close down the street for their craft event. And I believe we have Ms. Hope Cunningham, an environmental remediation. Haven't gotten too much information on what that might be, but I'm sure it has something to do with the Cherry Hill Oak Tree and
Absolutely.
some insight on what we can do to make things a little bit better over there.
Okay.
First readings, we have ordinance 2024-14, an ordinance to amend Chapter 20, Trees of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Port Royal, South Carolina. A final draft of the ordinance is in the folder, and as you see, we have Mr. Noah Krebs here. If you have any additional questions, I know he did a thorough discussion last month and has taken all of the updates that you guys have provided him, as well as with sitting with Conservation League, as well as Michael Murphy, of what you see right now is everything that he's received
That's the first
from
reading.
that input.
First reading?
Yes.
So, I don't know if anybody else had any comments, but I've spoken with council, and we've been going over this, and we did we're excited to vote and kind of put this to bed and for right now. One thing that all council reiterated, and we think it's important that we make this, review this ordinance from time to time. And once a year, we give it a review or something like that. But it is good, after we've made it the first time, we've talked about it, we put it into practice, and now we've come back with some edits. You know, I've spoken with council, I think everyone likes, the majority of the edits are, you know, just kind of cleaning it up, the definition, some functionality stuff. I mean, I can speak, and if anyone wants to correct me, I think we're okay with the fines where they are now, $750 and $500. Nobody really wanted to change those, so we can stick those. We can keep those with the toughest in the state. Proud of it. As far as the species list, I mean, the council. I rely on my brother Ashmore on that one too. He's the greenery man. Some of these trees, I couldn't tell you the difference between if you put them in front of me. So the idea is really just the dangerous, you know, the ones that hollow out and then fall without any kind of warning, just making sure those are off. But that's kind of where everybody's at, and everybody's pretty, other than that, we were all kind of ready to go and vote on it. If anybody else wanted to add something to Noah right now. But
Yeah,
I just did want to clarify on the species list for specimen and landmark. We've actually added and moved things in different categories more than we've removed. So we are removing laurel and water oaks, as well as sweet gums. But if you see, and loblolly and splash pines, if you see hickory, sycamore, and black cherry crossed out, they're actually just moved into a separate section for a general category for hardwood trees that are over story size at maturity. So Jerry, we've added holly, American and Carolina holly, and post oak. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood that and you were comfortable with that. Otherwise, that's where we've landed.
We kept the diversity, and that's something I've been kind of talking about all along, diversity.
And the only thing that's changed on this list since last month was shoring up the diameters for the thresholds for landmark and specimen with Michael Murphy before I distributed it last week. So.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. There's been a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, a lot of input.
Oh yeah.
From a lot of folks, and hopefully we're going in a good direction. So thank you. No.
We definitely have done it out in the open. So, so I mean, I think everyone's on the page. We're ready to vote, give it that first reading next week. And so, of course, it has to go through 2 readings. But the big thing is, you know, keep those fees where they were, and we're good to go.
All right. And then we have second readings, 2024-15, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate construction of sidewalks within the town, described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 10, parcel 0074. This is what we discussed during our public hearing. It is located at 1202 15th Street. All right. And then we also have for second readings 2024-16, an ordinance to remove personal storage facilities from the list of permitted uses in the T4 Neighborhood Center Open Zoning District. That was also discussed this evening during the public hearing. Council action, we have appointments to the Sands Beach Park Task Force.
How many are we looking to appoint to that task force, please? Have we dialed in on a number yet?
I think
Haven't.
we got the executive session.
Okay.
Okay, so we can talk about that in executive session.
We'll have
Thank
the,
you.
oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the 12th Street sidewalk construction contract. And we have the approval for the design of the Paris Avenue Streetscape Improvement CDBG grant.
And that's what we looked at tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty sharp.
Cool.
And I do want to point out that with that raised area, Councilmember Owens and I were at the annual meeting, and we were sitting in one of the sessions, and they were talking about using art to slow vehicles down, and so I put that, I brought that back with me, and I mentioned that to Josh, and so whether it's a seal or some way to work in brickwork to look like egrets going, like they're going towards the Cypress wetlands,
cool.
I thought it would be a great addition for that area.
Yeah, that was really cool seeing that. Are you talking about that little circle right there in the
Yes.
middle of it? Yeah, that'll be great.
And then important dates. Let me get back to. Perfect. All right, we have on Saturday, September 7th, 2024, Southern Redfish Tournament, and we have the weigh-in and awards at Shell Ring from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Saturday, September 7th, 2024, Fall Street Concert with Cat Wright at 6 p.m. here on our street.
Nice. I'll be there.
And then we didn't have this on here, but I do want to say Wednesday, September 11th, prior to the council meeting, we'll be holding a meet and greet with, and we'll be sharing this out to the public. It's for council and for public to come in, interact, get to meet the finalists of the chiefs, chief of police that we interviewed 6. We brought it down to 3, and we're really excited to have you guys meet them. After that, then we'll go into our council meeting at 6:30 p.m. and then we have the short-term rental task force meeting on Thursday at 4 p.m.
Okay. Anyone want to, any additions, subtractions, add anything? Oh, yes, sir.
Real quick. 9/11 ceremony will be at downtown Waterfront Park in Beaufort. I know it's your meeting night, and I know you got a lot of business to do, but I did want to let you know that one of our firefighters, Brian Hakes, is going to receive the Firefighter of the Year award from the Exchange Club this year. So second year in a row that we received the award, so we're proud of him and proud of his service, dedication to Beaufort and Port Royal.
What time is that? What time is it?
It's at 5:30 to 6:30.
5:30.
So I know it's going to be tough for y'all to make it.
We can be there for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Can the
Thank you.
helicopter pick us up?
Right. Maybe by boat would be
Fire
faster.
truck.
The boat, yeah, right.
The boat.
Rescue.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Chief.
yes, sir. Okay, anybody, additions, subtractions, anything?
No, sir.
And just to reiterate for everyone, as you just heard, I was just getting asked about it from Carl Puckett with the paper about the police chief search. So the 3 finalists will be here next Wednesday. So if who the police chief interests you, and it should, make sure you come to that meeting and ask some questions and interact with them and give us feedback. So we will have the 3 finalists for the chief beach job here next week in council chambers. So, okay. Up next, we've got public comment. I've got 1 person that has filled out public comment form. Oh, 2, actually. I forgot that. Mr. Dean Moss as well. But first off, I've got Miss Angela Wright.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm Angela Wright. I'm here on behalf of Low Country Pride, which is a nonprofit organization that serves the LGBTQ community in Beaufort County. And we had an event here last November. It was fantastic, lots of great feedback from pretty much everyone who attended. And we are planning to do our event again here this year on November 9th. But I'm coming tonight just to request, one of the big pieces of feedback we got after our event was that people would like a parade this year. And we had spoken with Captain Massey about the ability to do that, kind of laid out a route, so it would go from 14th Street up Paris Avenue down to 10th, and then back along London, so kind of just a big rectangle. So I'm just here to ask for that. We did do a little bit of an interest survey. It was very localized because I want to be sure all the data we get is people who live here and are going to actually come. But we got 120 people who would like to come, and 40 to 50 who want to participate in the parade. So.
Great. Thank you, Angela. All right. So that's it. Oh, one more public comment. Last but not least, Mr. Dean Moss. Let me move it on me. He's right up here now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to just say a few words to you about the penny sales tax. As you know, I was chair of the committee that brought forward the first recommendation, actually did both committees, chair of both committees, that brought forth the recommendations to County Council last spring. And finally, the County Council, of course, approved a reduced proposal, which is fine. But it's going to go on the ballot in November, and it'll be actually be started to vote on before November because voting by mail, et cetera, starts actually about 2 weeks before. So if we're going to get this done, and I wanted to just hit on some of the things that I think are critical and important for the town of Port Royal. And generally, there are real transportation problems here. They're getting worse. We're going to have to deal with them. And I'm not just talking about Port Royal here. I'm talking about the county generally as a whole. Had to go to Hilton Head this morning. The traffic is just beyond comprehension. And the same thing coming to Ladies Island in the morning, or leaving Ladies Island heading south in the morning. And it's going to take a hell of a lot of money to fix these problems. These are not going to simple. They're not simple. They're going to be complicated. They're expensive to do. The penny sales tax is the least impactful way of doing this. It raises a substantial amount of money that will be required. 40 to 60% of this tax is paid by visitors to Beaufort County. So it's a situation in which for a referendum like this, there's a maximum amount of money, and if 60% of $100 million is paid by visitors, then the residents of Beaufort County are paying only 40% of that. Those taxes do not apply to food, they do not apply to fuel, they do not apply to medicine, and they don't apply to rent. So the majority of things that people generally need to maintain themselves are not taxable. There are two projects in northern Beaufort County that are critical. One of them is Rebo Road. And I understand and observe the reaction of folks to the county's proposal for Rebo Road. The only way to solve the Rebo Road problem is for the town of Port Royal and the city of Beaufort to sit down together and decide what they want that project to be. If this passes, there's $70 million there. And that includes, obviously, the work needed to solve the problem at the bridge that we're dealing with every day here. It includes money for putting the power lines underground. I mean, there are any number of things that can be done along Rebo Road to make it better. I'll be quick. Secondly, we need to do something on Ladies Island. It's got to be done. If we don't do it, it's just going to get worse. My request, and the one other thing that I think is important here, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, is there's $10 million in that fund for the town of Port Royal and for the city of Beaufort and for otherwise in northern Beaufort County. So $30 million available to this part of Beaufort County, of which $10 million essentially is available to you. We're on a very short cycle here, and maybe too short. So I may be asking for things that can't be done. But in general, we need to know if someone is going to propose and back this. You guys can't advocate for it. You can educate about it, but you can't advocate. I can advocate. But I can't advocate if I don't have something to advocate for? And so the notion of question is, if you had $10 million, what would you do with it? That's a question that I think we have to kind of come to grips with. I have talked to Van about it, so he and I have discussed this. And where should we use this money? What should we use it for? If we have something that you can tell me, we're going to do this, we'd like to do this and this, then it's easy. Then I can come out and say that. I can say, we ought to do this. This way, they're going to do this, they want to do this, we need to do it. And finally, I think it's important to say on Rebo Road, and I've said this, again, you guys need to work with the city of Beaufort on this. I've been watching the county kind of flummox around on this thing, in my opinion, now for a long time. And if we want something to happen, we got to stand up and get it going. I mean, it's as simple as that, because unless we do, this isn't going to pass. I mean, there are just all kinds of issues in southern Beaufort County that I can't even understand that are standing in the way down there. And so that's my 2 cents on this. I think it's, if we want it, we got to go out and we got to work to get it. Otherwise, we're not going to get it. It'll be 2 years from now. We'll have to do it again because the problems aren't going anywhere. They're just going to get worse. And the money, this money is $10 million, no federal crap associated with getting it. You know, you don't have to match it. It's there. It's money for the town to use to do the things that are critical. And you've got the ability to essentially spend it on any of the things that are allowable in that piece of legislation that allows for the referendum. So that's all I have. I can't imagine you'll have any questions, but if you do, I'm happy to answer them.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dean. Appreciate it. Good.
No questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Okay.
How do we do for a joint meeting with the city?
Yeah, we do need to set up a joint meeting with the city. Yeah, they got an election going on right now, but we could try. I mean, we held the last one here, so I mean, maybe we just.
It's their turn.
We just got to plan it and be like, all right. I mean,
Yeah, whether it's election or not,
if they're
because
not
we
gonna
did
do
it
it.
before during the election. So I think we should go ahead and continue like we had.
Meeting, we just show up.
That'd be a good thing to set up, so.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Up next, we do have an executive session on the agenda here for us to discuss some personnel matters, so
Thank you all
I
for
do not
coming.
foresee a decision being made after our executive session. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for everyone that filed out applications. Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful night in Port Royal. Thank you all for being a part of it. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we're back. Thank you so much, everybody. I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now out of executive session. No formal decisions have been made. We do have want to remind everyone, we do have a council meeting next Wednesday, September 11th. You also heard there is a 9/11 memorial going on at Henry Chambers. But make sure you come to Port Royal next Wednesday, 6:30. We will have our finalists for the police chief here. And also, too, we just have a council meeting and come be a part of the town. So anything else from council?
Yes, sir.
I just think we ought to be thankful that, you know, and the citizens should understand we're listening to what they say. And as Brooke has told us tonight, some different projects, so we are listening. Things are happening. It's just that they